Hello everybody, welcome back to Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan and thank you very much for joining me once again. And of course, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. Not much of an intro today, so we're just going to get straight into the footy headlines and see what news we have in store for you today. Coming up on today's headlines. Bad news for Marcus Rashford as Sir Dave Brailsford visits Carrington to relay a message to the squad of what standards mean to INEOS. A bombshell report has revealed United are locked in talks with Everton to sign Jarrad Branthwaite. Fabrizio Romano sheds some light on the tension between Hannibal Mabry and some Sevilla teammates already on his loan spell. United braced for seriously tempting Marcus Rashford bid as INEOS plot to demolish Ten Hag's squad. And United move for powerful €40 million Serie A striker, and journalist reveals clever Ten Hag plan to beat Arsenal to the deal. United also offered a chance to sign a PSG star on loan to ease their striker problem. And finally, Facundo Pellistri sees some light at the end of the tunnel with his move to La Liga. All that coming up. Kicking us off today, not great news for Marcus Rashford when one of the senior boys is gone down to Old Trafford and Carrington just to remind players of the standards that are expected of them now that they are in control of footballing matters at the club. So, some interesting information here. So, INEOS advisor Sir Dave Brailsford made a timely appearance at Carrington on Monday, forging ahead with plans to overhaul the club. It goes on to say, the new investors have pledged to be a visible presence around Carrington, and he visited on Monday with a particular purpose, and it would have been excruciatingly awkward for one Manchester United player, apparently. So Brailsford talked to the United squad and addressed them with a particular mission statement, and according to The Athletic, he was there to explain the INEOS philosophy with a focus on, quote-unquote, standards. So the report states Brailsford was explaining the INEOS approach to sporting excellence and the importance of standards and what they expect from very highly paid professionals. So it's kind of sad that these guys need to be reminded of that. So there we see. Marcus Rashford, probably one of the main boys in question, alongside with Sancho, and anyone else who's been troublesome is pretty much gone. So awkward timing for Rashford, they're saying. His escapades at a nightclub in Belfast and alleged heavy drinking last week were splashed on the front page. So listen, we've already done it. If you didn't catch my episode yesterday, just check it out. My views on Marcus Rashford, very, very clear for anyone that has been a recent viewer of the channel. I'm kind of done with him personally myself, for various reasons. So check out that episode, and I would be very curious to know what your comments are on it as well. So a club statement released last night expressed how Rashford has shown regret at being caught. It's amazing how everyone's full of regret after they're caught. So the whole point of high standards of professionalism is to drive high performance on the pitch. No shit there. So the timing of Brailsford's talk might just have shocked Rashford. Well, of course it would have, because it's just unacceptable what he did, and I hope to God that he's not playing against Wolves. There's other people that are saying they've drawn a line under the sand now, and United just want to get back to focusing on football, which I'm sure they do, but I mean, they don't need to be dealing with all this bullshit week after week after week. Kyle Walker's having children with other women while he already has a wife and kids, and he has another family, and there's very little about that online. A 26-year-old goes out for some drinks, and reports in sick for a match, which is awful, but it's getting 10 times more coverage than the captain of the treble winners having a secret family, which is bananas. But such is Manchester United, and that's why Manchester City, you will never be as big as us. So try as you might. But listen, I think Rashford will have to be suspended for the Wolves game. Maybe he'll be put on the bench and brought on if we need some inspiration. Maybe he's got a fire lit up under his ass. It could be the thing he needs to kick on for the rest of the season. But it's too little too late for me. But, we'll see what happens come the Wolves game. So yeah, bombshell report recently coming out now with two of our targets here that we can see. And Michael Elise and Jarrad Branthwaite. And Jarrad Branthwaite being the key piece of personnel that United want to get. Apparently, Ten Hag has been very focused on getting Matthijs de Ligt, which I would hate. The guy's form has not been good ever since he's moved from Ajax. He's gone the exact same way as so many players from that Ajax team, which is very underwhelming. To not be able to perform at a high enough level to stay in Serie A is a huge concern. And now he's dropped his place in Bayern. And these are tier 2 leagues. And he's not able to maintain his place. Yes, it's for the best teams, but, you should be able to handily manage the offenses that those leagues are serving up to you week in, week out. And I'm kind of disappointed. It's so obvious he wants to go for de Ligt. I'm just kind of sick of Ten Hag going through his phone 3 a.m. on a Friday night, you up, question mark to every to every single person he's been with previously, just seeing who nibbles and just accumulating this, team of, former players. It's getting a bit ridiculous. And it seems that INEOS have put their foot down and said, listen, we want Jarrad Branthwaite. This is the player we want. And it was funny in discussions after discussing this with Brailsford and INEOS, Ten Hag came round to the idea, which basically screams, by the way, Eric, this is who we're fucking getting. So, stick de Ligt up your arse. A bombshell report has revealed United are in locked-in talks with Everton to side Jarrad Branthwaite. United are known to be in the market for a new centre-back. Varane, of course, being linked with Saudi with a lucrative offer. And again, 36-year-old Johnny Evans maybe not being fit for purpose beyond this season. But again, I think he's done bloody well since he's come in for a man of his age. And, with the pressure that's there. So United hold an interest in Jean-Claire Todibo, a player I really like as they look to bring in a new centre-half to rival Martinez, Harry Maguire and co. Instead, United appear to be prioritising Branthwaite, the impressive young Englishman who's been shining at Everton this term. Of course, he was a winner with England's under-21s in their most recent international tournament, a team littered with talent. So it says here, Ten Hag and Ratcliffe at odds over which defender to sign. Ten Hag wants de Ligt, and Ratcliffe wants Branthwaite. But now Ten Hag and Ratcliffe have come together and agreed on the right player to pursue, and that's Branthwaite. Brilliant. Love it. Yeah, that's nice, Eric. Anyway, Jarrad is the guy that will be signing, so you do your best with that. According to Italian outlet Corriere dello Sport, United are pushing hard to try and strike an agreement with Everton for the England under-21 international. Ten Hag has completed a U-turn at Branthwaite and is now actively pushing for the transfer to reach completion as the gun cocks at his head from Brailsford. There's the price that's being discussed here. It's been previously suggested that Everton will hold out for a massive 100 million. Yeah, not going to happen. But United could actually get him for 40 million quid plus some bonuses. That would represent great value in this market. Of course it would. And United have spent more on that on defenders in the past. It goes on to say, of course they have. But Jarrad Branthwaite, I did an episode on this guy at the end of the summer transfer window. There was talk of United going in for him. Seems to be the real deal. He's an absolute unit. He's been doing very well for an Everton team that is doing its best to not go down and trying to navigate, bob and weave all these different charges and the different kind of difficulties that Sean Dyche is coming up against. But Jarrad Branthwaite, I'd be very excited to see a young man of his caliber, his size, his ceiling, and I think he'd make a great addition to the team. And it'd be just great to have yet another kind of young, very talented player in that team, and trying to mold something that's going to maybe continue on for 5 to 10 years. I think that's what United are really hoping to do here. So exciting times, and let's see if that can get pushed through before the end of the month. I'm not hopeful. I would say they'll maybe try and put something in place for the summer, but with Varane not going anywhere, Martinez back fit, Johnny Evans available, there's plenty of players to get us to the summer. And I really think that the rest of this season is essentially written off, and the remaining games of the season are a trial period for INEOS to see which of the squad we're going to keep and who gets a bullet to the back of the head. Romano shed some light. So we've got One Football here reporting on Fabrizio Romano giving some insights into Hannibal Mabry's difficulties since joining Sevilla. So the reason behind the drama of Mabry's apparent exile and sudden inclusion in the Sevilla matchday squad this weekend was there seemed to be tension between the loanee and the rest of the squad. So you may have heard earlier in the week that it was said by the manager that he was going to be dropped indefinitely while he kind of sits back and assesses why he's at the club and trying to get himself up to speed with the values. And essentially the manager basically saying he's been a brat and he's going to sit out until he thinks about what he's done, and then we'll reintroduce him. Very similar to another manager that we happen to know, and he gets absolute pelters for dealing with his players like that. So yeah, one rule for some, one rule for another. Speaking to Cut Offside for his daily briefing column, the Italian transfer expert went into some details. So he goes on to say, things have not gone off to a great start for Hannibal Mabry. So what's really going on with the United loanee and manager Quique Flores Sanchez? You may remember him from his time at Watford. My understanding is that it's not a specific incident. There was some tension in training between some players and Hannibal, but everything has been clarified, and Hannibal spoke directly to the manager to keep the situation quiet. It's no secret that Hannibal, in spite of his talent, can be a fiery character. We know that. I mean, which I love. You want that sideshow bob hair running around trying to start fights with people. Fantastic. More of that, please. So far, he's only managed 28 minutes from the subs bench in a 5-1 defeat to Girona. Girona absolutely flying high. So, it seems that is a squad in a lot of chaos and turmoil. They're under a huge amount of pressure. They are fighting the drop at the moment. Sevilla have just been in free fall for the last few seasons. And the transfer guru highlighted that the situation is already intense with the Europa League winners due to their appalling season to date as they sit 16th. It's all good now, though it's obviously in not easy in general. So it's obviously not easy in general, Sevilla, because their season has been horrible. So the manager stated, after being with him, talking to him, and having seen his first minutes in Girona, we're going to give him the necessary space to understand where he is, that he is at Sevilla, and what it means. So clearly there's a behavioural issue here. Nonetheless, despite the apparent exile, there was an incredible U-turn when only a matter of hours later, Mabry was announced as part of the squad. So yeah, it seems like it's water under the bridge, but not great news for young Hannibal if he's trying to make an impression in Spain's top tier, to either get a move away or to establish himself as a potential first teamer next season. So not the best of starts, but hopefully he can kick on and maybe get his attitude right. Yeah, more examples of young talented footballers needing a good kick up the hole, but let's see what happens. So United braced for seriously tempting Marcus Rashford bids. We get this from Steve Pearson from Team Talk. Here's Ten Hag possibly telling Rashford to get the hell out of the club. But who knows? We can only speculate. A European giant weighing up a summer bid for Rashford. Of course, this is going to be PSG, with them inevitably losing Mbappe, perhaps to Real Madrid. There's talk about Liverpool, talk about United. If there's one thing I'm sure of, Mbappe ain't coming to the UK. He will be going to Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid might do an Henry with Vinicius Jr. and move him into the centre with Mbappe out on the side, or maybe they're just going to have them rotate between those two positions. But they're going to be getting a nice free Kylian Mbappe in the summer, which will leave them to have a few funds for Erling Haaland, or they might sell Vinicius to go for Erling Haaland. But who knows? But I would imagine that he is going to Real Madrid, and as such, PSG will be making a move for someone like Marcus Rashford. We know they had interest in him a couple of years back, where I think a bid of around 70 to 80 million was lodged for him, and that was the season before last season. So it was off the back of some pretty poor performances, and they still put in a bid like that. So then he turns in that great season directly afterwards, and we all think, hey, he's finally arrived. Maybe we'll see some consistency, but of course he didn't. And yeah, but maybe he can still maintain that value. Rashford, 26. I thought he was 27. Recently hit the headlines. Oh no, because he debuted at 17, 9 seasons, 26. That's it. Recently hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons. And yeah, we've gone over this. So Rashford to replace Mbappe is the key piece of this article. Who explored signing Rashford last summer, are considering bidding for the winger at the season's end. With Real Madrid circling, PSG could soon have a Kylian Mbappe-shaped void in their front line. So yeah, Rashford could form part of a squad exodus they're talking about. I would be all for that. It's pretty obvious they are just absolutely gutting that club. They are stripping every piece of unnecessary weight. That's in terms of personnel, wages, trying to get their transfer kitty up and running, trying to fatten that up, trying to skinny down the wages. And Rashford would certainly be a piece of that. He hasn't cost anything. He's come from the academy. Everything we get in a transfer is pure profit, which is FFP gold. And you'd be getting 350 grand a week off your wage bill. So there's a huge amount of money there to be saved. I mean, he's got another 4-year contract on, 1.4 million a month. So he's on roughly... He's probably on about 17 or 18 million quid a year. So you multiply that out by the 3 remaining years that he'd have, that's about another 60 million. So if you got 80 million plus that, it's worth about 140 million to the club. To get Marcus Rashford off the wage bill and into someone else's pocket at 80 million quid. And you might even be able to get 100 for him. For what you see other players going for, there is no reason United could not demand 100 million quid for Marcus Rashford. However, with a new era dawning under the guiding hand of Ratcliffe, it stressed one of INEOS' top priorities is to begin offloading unwanted players. I can't imagine Rashford is not under consideration for being sold, especially off the back of what's happened recently, regardless of what his form has been like. But you put those two things together, it has to be a consideration. Of course, Mason Greenwood looking at to potentially get a move. It could be to Barcelona, but they're broke. So I don't see what the big deal is selling to Barca, because they're just absolutely broke. Unless we can maybe get someone in return like Araujo, something like that, who we know United are interested in. So selling homegrown stars will be especially lucrative for United, given their sales will represent pure profit. Exactly. So Rashford falls into that category. So it'll be interesting. Let's see what happens there. I would certainly welcome 80 to 100 million quid for Marcus Rashford, and then we reinvest that elsewhere. I don't think we're going to miss him at all, if I'm being perfectly honest. And yeah, let's see what happens. So United also looking to be making a move to get Joshua Zirkzee from Bologna, with a few other clubs circling as well. We know that Arsenal are also interested, and both teams really in bad need of a leading figure to kind of spearhead the striking department of their relevant clubs. So that's despite Team Talk sources revealing PSG have presented United, as well as a number of other clubs, with Hugo Ekitike, which we'll get into later on. So it goes on to say that one player that's of huge interest to all of Europeans' big hitters is Joshua Zirkzee. Great player. Seems to be doing fairly well in Serie A after his kind of underwhelming spell at Bayern Munich. But again, he is only a young lad, and he seems to have all the necessary qualities to blossom into the kind of striker that these top clubs think he can. And speaking to Give Me Sport, he's revealed that officials for the Red Devils have already made contact with regards to summer swoop. Zirkzee is a really interesting one for the summer, Jacobs said. This is Ben Jacobs from CBS. Arsenal, United, Spurs, all watching him. United are the ones that have made some kind of formative approach, certainly on the player side. Arsenal and Spurs haven't moved yet. There is a release clause. It only applies to Bayern, and it's 34 million. That's not strictly correct. The release clause is 40 million euro, which Bayern have the option to match. But if someone exceeds it, Bayern will be given the option to match it. But again, it's not like this only applies to Bayern. That's a set buyout clause, but Bayern have to be offered the chance to buy him if that is met. Bayern sources term a move to re-sign him is unlikely, but not impossible. There's no way. They've got Harry Kane there. He's not going anywhere for the next 3 to 4 years. Xerxes just getting his career up and running. There is no way he's going back there just to sit in his arse waiting for Harry Kane to get injured. So how much will United need to pay for the Bologna striker? Again, it's begin at 30 million, maybe go up to 40. Yeah, it depends. Explaining his asking price and why a summer move rather than in January looks likely, Jacobs added, so if we take them at their word, the Premier League clubs are just going to have to use that 40 million number as a yardstick, which means that he'll be available in the market in the summer for a minimum of 30 million euro plus. No formal approaches yet. So looks like United are very interested in him. I don't think anything's going to happen in January. However, on that note, United have been offered Hugo Ekitike, who moved to PSG after his loan spell last year and moved there, I think, for about 25 million euro. Hasn't been really getting a huge amount of game time with Kylian Mbappe, Gonçalo Ramos and Kolo Muani there, so almost impossible to try and even get a sniff of the first team when you got players like that there. But it looks like Luis Enrique is looking to clear the decks. There was a lot of talk of him looking to try and offload Goncalo Ramos. So, we'll see what happens there. It goes on to say here that the 21-year-old made a big impression during his time at Reims, but he has fallen completely down the pecking order. Goncalo Ramos and Randall Colomuani, with them coming into the club as well, there was no way he was going to get a look, and they're just looking to try and get him some game time. It could be a really good option for United to get someone in to act as backup for Rasmus Højlund, but they do have Rashford who can come in there. Garnacho is able to play left and right. Anthony can play left or right, depend whether you want inversion or guys sticking to their wings. It looks like we're completely committed to inverting. But Rashford can play up there. Martial, he's going to be out for the season. So we basically just have Højlund and Rashford that can play up top. So we'll see. Joe Hugel's now out on loan. So we really do need someone. And this could be a good option for us to get someone. So, let's see what happens between now and Thursday. But, remains to be seen. But could be a good option. The kid needs games. We need a striker. That works. So it looks like Facundo Pellistri is on his way to Granada, a very drawn out transfer. He's been kind of circling the transfer drain for quite a while. It looks like a fee of around 9 million will be enough, but initially it's going to be a loan. It's believed the loan fee is around 1.5 million between now and the end of the season. And there could be an option there. It's believed that there will be an option to buy. I don't think they have to exercise it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Having already allowed Sancho, Amad Diallo now with him on the scene, and with a lot of United fans just getting sick of him not getting his first team opportunities. With Pellistri gone, Anthony not firing, Greenwood gone, Sancho gone. It's like, Jesus, man, like give Diallo his opportunities. If not now, when? The season's already a write-off. We're probably not going to finish top four. We're looking to shed the shit in the summer. So give him a chance to prove that he's worth keeping beyond the summer. So yeah, let's see what happens. So with Diallo seemingly ready to kick on, with Anthony appearing to find a bit of form, it looks like Pellistri's time at United will be coming to a close. So according to reports in Spain, United and Granada have finalised terms over Pellistri's switch. Apparently, Granada were getting exacerbated by United being very, very stubborn on what they wanted, which is kind of nice to hear. He'll join the relegation haunted side on loan for the remainder of the season. And for their part, they are unwilling to commit to a permanent deal, given their status as a top-flight side is currently under threat. So that is completely understandable, and maybe that's what the delay was. So Pellistri will travel to Spain on Tuesday afternoon, that's yesterday, to finalize the arrangement, and subject to a medical, it should be formally announced by the two clubs in the next day or two. So very best of luck, says here, 1.5 million as the loan fee, and very best of luck to Facundo. I hope it goes well out there, and if anything, to increase your fee so we get more money for you for your own career. He seems like a good, honest kid who wants to take people on, got pucks of talent, doing well for his own country, and really hope he kicks on and makes a name for himself over there between now and the summer. And that, everyone, are the main headlines for today. So that is it for the news today. Lots going on. So Brailsford laying down the hammer. Pellistri finally getting his move. Maybe some January moves for United. Will the Branthwaite deal go ahead? Who knows? Will we maybe get a striker on loan to relieve the pressure off Rasmus Højlund and Marcus Rashford, if and when young Marcus comes back from his time on the naughty step? So yeah, put in your comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Should Marcus start against Wolves? Are you sad to see Pellistri go? Should we be bringing Branthwaite in, or should we be waiting till the summer so we can get our ducks in a row, clear out the decks, get our transfer kitties, and let's put some proper bids in for players that we want in the summer, when they'll probably be more available and clubs a little bit more agreeable to selling them. Once again, thank you very, very much for joining me. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.